It's the Underpowered Hour on this week's show. Imitation Land Rovers, a floating Defender, and Liza and Jenna give us the recap on this year's SEMA show in Las Vegas. And now, without further delay, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Beres, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at theberescollection.com or follow us on Instagram at theberescollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm the wing mirror to Steven's programmable mirror. I am the poorly adjusted host of podcasting, Goss. I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike and Liza and Jenna. We're back this week. Liza and Jenna made it back safe from SEMA, which was not the, the sandwich meat thing? Or what? We found another SEMA
looking. It's
like
the Meat Association or something.
Right, yes, yeah.
Yeah, different SEMA.
Unfortunately, that was the one they showed up for, not the one. The Defender was on exhibit at the Meat Expo, which is interesting that Maxis has a booth there. But, hey. Meat people buy tires too. So, well, in the news this week, pretty fun little video that is circulating. A lot of people have questions about the capabilities of the new Land Rover Defender and if it is as capable as some of the older vehicles. Well, there is a side-by-side test available if a Reddit user has posted a video of a new Defender following what is, to be fair, a relatively raised, more than relatively, a pretty high clearance classic Discovery through what looks like a flooded underpass in the UK or something like that. And the Defender does not, the Defender in Land Rover fashion turns into a boat.
This is a new Defender, and it is following a Discovery 1?
Looks like that. Discovery 1, Discovery 2, but it's monster trucked out.
It's got pretty tall tires.
It's big tires, big
and
lift.
It's probably a 300 TDI truck.
I would imagine it is. Yeah, because it definitely sounds like it. It's also got weird rainbow antenna whips on it, which are kind of interesting. That's sort of fun.
Yeah.
Light up.
Like dune buggy LED whips, which I keep saying I want to put on one of our rally vehicles.
Got to do it. Yeah, rainbow LED whip. Yeah, surprisingly.
So where did they go wrong here?
Well, where didn't they?
So basically, there's a flooded road, and it looks like there's a police officer or a traffic warden, maybe is what they call him over there. I'm not really sure. Yep. At any rate, he's sort of deterring people from crossing this flooded roadway.
Yeah.
And do you think these guys were just like, no, we have a Land Rover, we can do it?
I think that's
Discovery
very common.
goes.
Yeah. The Discovery goes, and to its credit, goes right through.
No problem at all.
It's deep.
It is very
deep. No
deep.
question. That water is right at the level of the hood. Right? It's like half an inch below.
Yeah, and this is on a Discovery that probably has at least 36-inch tires and a lift on it. So the top of that hood might be 2 feet
high
in the air.
So how exactly? How deep do you think that water is? Do you think it's 3.5, 4 feet deep?
Maybe, I don't know about 4 feet, but it's between, I would say, between 2 and 3 feet. Yeah,
it's more than 3.
Yeah, because
it's more than 3. That's close to 4.
If you're talking the tire is a 36-inch tire,
right?
That's
pretty
darn close.
That's 3 feet there, and it's
well
over the tires. It's well over the tires. Yeah, it's probably 4 feet.
It's got to be 4 feet at least, I think. And so this Discovery goes through and makes it through okay, but
no problem.
Then his buddy, in what looks
do we know he's his buddy? That's the question.
True. I did not dive deep into the Reddit thread to see if anybody revealed that.
Know
but
it's a buddy.
Let's assume that this is someone who sees their friend in a Discovery and thinks, I'm driving a new Defender. This is a $80,000 to $100,000 car. Clearly, I can make it, except that it's pretty obvious that is a very stock Defender. This does not have 36 tires.
Now, it does
tires.
have steel
this does
wheels.
Not have a lift.
So,
do you think they raised the ride height, or is this road going ride height?
Ooh, it's a good question. It's a good
know.
question. Did they
It kind
raise
of looks like road height to me.
It does look like road height. I agree
Now,
with you.
Yeah.
now here's another follow-up question. Do you think Land Rover marketing plays any effect on, the confidence of the driver here? Because I feel like it was widely publicized that the new Defender has a higher weighting depth than any previous model from the factory.
Which is not true. So if you were under that impression, then they gave you the wrong impression in their marketing, because that is not true. Your weighting depth, even if you install the OEM raised air intake on the new Defender,
it's not a snorkel.
You cannot go higher than that little grill that is just in front of the front doors on either side. That little grill is part of the air intake system. And even with the OEM raised air intake, they say that the weighting depth is at the bottom of that grill. You cannot go higher than that. And this poor Defender,
was a lot higher.
He knows it the moment the white smoke starts coming out from under the bonnet. He knows, and he tries to reverse, and he tries to back himself out of it. And at that point, you're just like, oh.
And at that point, and this is where the video ends, the traffic warden or whoever yells, "We've got a floater," which is my favorite part of the whole.
So now I just looked up the weighting depth for the new Defender, and this is factory claim, 35.4 inches for the new Defender.
Yeah, that water is way more than 35.4 inches.
And now,
so would you get, because this vehicle is clearly floating in this?
It is clearly floating, yes.
That the weight depth, the factory recommended weighting depth, is higher than the floating depth, the practical floating depth of a new Defender. Will it float before?
You'll never find that weighting depth because it starts floating.
That's possible. Oh, especially with the plastic lower bumper area on the sides of the rear. Like, there's just such a big pontoon back there.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like throwing a kid in the pool with her wings.
You're right.
So this thing starts floating and obviously immediately loses traction.
100%.
Now there is a Chinese like Land Rover sort of copy, and they actually advertise the fact that the vehicle is still mobile once it starts floating.
It floats, and then you paddle it around with the tires, but only for
becomes like a
it's like 20 minutes exactly, and after that it explodes. Yeah, you just immediately fall to the bottom. Yeah, you draw. Everyone dies. But they have a very specific amount of time that it can do that for, which is interesting. And I wonder, does that clock reset? Like, it's been 31 minutes and 10 seconds. Do I just drive out and then I can drive right back and reset my clock, or
just like a little ducky boat?
That sounds like fun.
Well, this is just a really special individual, and I think the one thing this video is lacking is any sort of follow-up, like what happened.
We've got to, I think if it knows these individuals, we'd love to have them on the show, talk about the entire situation. So we'll put the Ministry of Research on that.
It certainly has made the rounds. Justin at Lucky 8 posted this video over the weekend to Instagram. Great. And, I've seen lots of conversation going on around this video. So somebody out there knows somebody who can get us in touch
beautiful.
with them.
It's just beautiful. I love it. Speaking of enormous financial damage done to Land Rovers, we have the latest numbers in from the big hack. The Land Rover hack heard round the world. Ikers, what's the update on the fiscal fallout for our friends at JLR?
There's been a lot of news swirling around the exact total of losses, and it seems like there's a number of different, much like accounting. There's a number of ways to look at this, and
EBITDA of this.
So some people are estimating at £200 million. Right?
Wow.
That's the low estimate that I've seen.
Yeah. Low estimate. Ooh.
That's the low estimate. And then the high estimate is 600 million pounds.
That is quite
it's quite a spread. But now, if you take into account
American dollars,
that's just to Land Rover itself, right?
Right.
And so you have all of the suppliers and the bigger, sort of snowball effect on the British economy. And so that is somewhere between 2 and 2.5 billion pounds, and apparently it has actually affected reasonably significantly the GDP of the UK. according to this article.
Oh, it's government amount of impact on the GDP, except it wasn't self-imposed. So that's a I guess a silver lining.
And they're looking for the employee that clicked on the link
to
send money to the Saudi prince.
That's right. Now, here's a question. Did we do any counter research on how much money was saved to consumers by not buying those new Land Rovers that immediately needed service?
Well, that's still being calculated, and also a little mean. The way to kick people when they're down. Steven.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's as I said, if Russia really wanted to attack using Land Rover as a tool, they would increase sales.
Now, interestingly, this is having an effect on Slovakia as well, where the new Defender is made.
Of course.
So I read an article recently that Slovakia's economy is heavily invested in automotive production. So not just Land Rover, but there are several other manufacturers that produce cars there. And because of the American tariffs, because of these cyber attacks, it's really playing a pretty significant role in depressing Slovakia's economy, which is
Vlado is actually 10% of Slovakia's GDP right now.
Dude, that guy's a rock star.
He is.
He's more than 10%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 15, maybe 20 on a good day. I mean, he's the hardest working guy in Slovakia.
It's true.
I mean, maybe Land Rover should, just shift production to Vlado,
Yeah. To Hayes Motors,
just do it. He'll take care of it. There's no problem. There's no problem at all.
Probably more reliable, to be honest.
I agree with you, and better cybersecurity. Quite frankly, I think at this point everybody has better cybersecurity.
This whole debacle reminded me of the Louvre heist.
Yeah,
and they determined that the password for the Louvre was Louvre.
Oh.
On the day that it happened, the password was Louvre.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's astonishing.
Well done.
That is, it might as well have been password, right?
Yeah.
Like
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right?
You wouldn't even try password first, I don't think. You might try Louvre before you tried password.
Yeah, it's just like that scene from Spaceballs. What idiot would put that as a combination? You, sir.
You, sir. Change the combination on my matched luggage. All right, well, a segment that has been missing for a little bit, but is a favorite amongst listeners, both Ike and I's moms, is the Imitation Land Rover. As we know, the Land Rover often only replicated that one time by the Ineos people, but it is a flattery, we think, to be imitated. And this time, it actually a whole new division of impersonation. This is now a Chinese company bringing back, in the style of Land Rover classics, a classic vehicle reborn, if you will, for a new market. This is, of course, the Ba 212T01, the classically named, it just rolls off the tongue.
Oh, what does BAW stand for? BAW.
BAW. That's a great. It's Beijing.
Beijing Auto Works.
Yeah, Auto Works.
I feel like there's a missed opportunity. Just if you're copying other motor cars, just call it BMW. But instead of Bavarian Motor Works, it's Beijing Motor Works. BAW has produced the 212T01.
They really have a gift for naming, I have to say.
It does. And this vehicle, much like the Nissan Patrol, sort of a Land Cruiser-y front, and then a Land Rover-y middle.
Yes.
And then some other kind of business at the back.
Yeah, you got kind of like a pickup trucky looking, maybe Toyota. Yeah, it's Hilux-y looking back there. Maybe an F-150 with like a clamp side on it. I don't know. It is and it has no paint in the photograph. It looks like polished.
Is it silver or is it just polished?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
But the front door especially, looks almost identical to Land Rover Defender. It's got the hip.
Yep.
The door handle is kind of the same exact design, with the little scallop in the middle. Mm-hmm. And just ahead of the door, it sort of has that new Defender-y air intake. Now, there's also elements. The bumper itself looks like it has been taken off of a Wrangler.
It literally does. Yes, I was going to say, it looks like it's just a direct. I think those parts are interchangeable. It's a good chance because, that looks like a Wrangler. And actually, the hood looks surprisingly Grenadier,
But I will say that the general effect of the nose, the grille, and even the hood to a certain extent with that sort of scallop just below the front edge, that looks very FJ Land Cruiser.
It does.
That grille is just like right off of a Land Cruiser.
And if you look at the short wheelbase one that is in that article, It looks like a Suzuki Sidekick.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's great. This is actually my favorite part about it. The long wheelbase looks a little more Land Cruiser-y in the back, a very, very, very Defender in the middle. And then, it's like a 4-door Jeep Renegade, which is kind of interesting. Like, there's literally no backspace at all. It's just another door, which kind of is an interesting sort of shape.
The proportions of the short wheelbase are pretty bad. The middle door is kind of like halfway along the rear wheel arch because it's a short wheelbase, but it's still a 4-door.
Yeah.
You mentioned Suzuki Sidekick, but I think it looks a lot like the Russian UAZ, GAZ little Jeeps, that they blow up in every James Bond movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those things kind of have that same door proportion, which I frankly hate. But, there are some things to like, and the crew cab is actually not a bad looking vehicle. It looks pretty cool.
No, it's kind of cool. These vehicles will set you back if you could buy them here, and of course you won't be able to. Just under $20,000 for the little short wheelbase guy, just around $23,000 for the long wheelbase station or the pickup, and then the fully built out, quite posh looking station wagon is about $27,000. So they are super cheap, super, super cheap. And these are brand new cars, right? This is not they didn't go and find, because these vehicles never existed, and then refurbish them. These are brand new cars that just look.
This is a preview ahead of their debut at the 2025 Auto Show.
You got to pronounce it.
Auto Show.
The optional equipment includes a roll bar, cargo covers, tow hooks, exterior styling elements, and a gyroscopic information display that shows compass, pitch, roll, and altitude. According to this press release.
I like it. I like all those things.
And this one has a weighting depth of up to 850 millimeters on specific versions.
That is important, as we have.
That is 850 millimeters is 85 centimeters.
33.46 inches.
So less than a new Defender.
Less than a Defender.
If you're following one. Just FYI.
Less than a Defender, right? Yes, that's true. Yeah, just remember, keep it safe out. Check your friend's weighting depth against yours before you drive uncontrollably. Speaking of driving uncontrollably, our last imitation Land Rover segment of the day. Interesting that this is not actually an imitation Land Rover, although it is.
It's totally an imitation Land Rover.
Yeah, this story is actually about trying to impersonate a Land Rover viral video. Yep. Of course, we all remember the red Range Rover driving up these historic, very ancient steps in China and doing it expertly, right? It was very cool, neat way to show off the Range Rover Sport as something that can easily drive up lots of stairs, which is something that you do a lot in it. Well, not to be outdone, our friends at Chery, of course, the Chery Automotive, this is the Full-Win XL3, which kind of looks like a Defender. It's sort of like halfway between a Defender and the new Land Cruiser. I think now that the new Land Cruiser is out, I feel like it looks more like the Land Cruiser than it does like the Defender.
Maybe the Land Cruiser looks more like the Chery.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Hummer 3.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely some 3 elements that bulge on the rear door. It's kind of Hummer 3 and sort of the wheel arch shapes. But you can tell they looked at several different 4-wheel drives. But the side of the vehicle, and especially that vent in front of the door, that's Defender. Totally.
That's Defender. I agree with you.
And the roof profile.
So as you'll all remember, the Range Rover, of course, made it up. Right? Yeah. No problem.
Well, so I think you need a little bit of context here. So this was an ad that ran in 2018.
Yeah, it was a viral campaign.
They took a Range Rover Sport plug-in hybrid. I think that is important to note that.
Right.
To Tiananmen Mountain in China. And they wanted to demonstrate its capabilities. So they made it climb the stairway to heaven. They made it do parts of it backwards and it went up. This is 999 steep stone steps rising at a 45-degree incline.
Couldn't do just one more, huh?
45
Could just throw one more on there.
No, it had to be 999.
It's too bad.
It's pretty impressive, structure. It really is. And it's got this natural, rock arch sort of at the top. It's pretty.
And how old is this?
built in 263, so it's like over 1,000 years old. It's crazy.
Now, and you would say fairly
1,700 years old.
Yeah, significant to the Chinese culture, I imagine.
Significant that they keep trying four-wheel drives up it repeatedly. Like, apparently you just buy a permit at the bottom if you want to drive up the steps.
You want to drive up it. Yeah, they got them at the gift shop. You can give it a go. Well, we thought it might be interesting for those of you who haven't seen this, to sort of just do a play-by-play commentary of the most difficult part of this. There's a long stretch in the middle that's just stair. I assume, 777 stairs before you reach a platform or something. And, this is apparently, professional Chinese driver that is
in a prepared vehicle. There's a roll cage welded into this car.
That's right. Yeah, this is the real thing. So if you're watching on the YouTube, we're actually going to put up the video here, and we're gonna play this along. Oh, it's going a little fast, but basically we've got the Cherry heading up the stairs. He's looking good. I mean, he's got good. He's getting a little bit sideways now.
He's going the wrong way.
Now he's going backwards at extremely high speed. And he smashed into the 1,700-year-old irreplaceable railing with the car. Here's another angle shot from looks like a helicopter or something. You really get the sense of him being completely out of control at this point. And there is bricks, rolling off into the forest and
masonry
down the stairs.
On the course.
There's masonry on the course. He hit that thing going
bad.
He hit that thing going at a pretty good clip. So I don't know. I don't know what the financial or cultural repercussions of that.
I think these people will not be heard from again. But Cherry Motors has.
That's right.
Cherry Motors has issued an apology and said that they will repair it. So I don't know how
by traveling backwards. I don't know.
Maybe stop driving up your cultural icons.
Yeah. The company did say that the accident was caused by the unexpected detachment of the safety rope's fixing point on the test vehicle, leading the rope to wrap around the right wheel, cutting off engine power. And as a result, the vehicle slipped down the steps and struck the guardrail, damaging a portion of it.
Oh, so they have a rope that pulls.
I was wondering. I could see what looked like a winch line under there. It's interesting.
And it wasn't going at the same rate as the vehicle, so it got wrapped around the tire.
Now, did we know, did the Range Rover have a safety rope?
I don't know the answer to that. I didn't think I saw one in the ad. He was really cruising up that hill.
I don't know of the winch that you'd have to go as fast as that car was. And that's another key point that Jenna brought up earlier, is that he just really wasn't carrying enough speed up those stairs. Well, he was going a little slower than the Range Rover.
The original video was really fast.
We've been blaming the driver and the vehicle, but do you think it's the winch operator that caused this? If the rope got wrapped around the wheel and caused this to stop happening.
This to stop happening, yeah.
I imagine this is what you get when you try to be safe.
Everyone involved will be disappeared. That's for sure. You're never going to see any of those people again.
They're gone.
Maybe if they were a high-speed red, slowed down too much.
Good call. That's exactly right.
There is a side-by-side comparison of the video on Reddit that we'll post a link to, and it kind of shows the Range Rover and the Landwind, sort of side by side. And the Range Rover takes off, and looks like he's going 50 miles an hour up the steps.
Yeah.
Well, so I do think it's worth noting that it's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle in the Range Rover, right?
The other one's fully electric, right?
The other one is completely electric. Yeah.
The yellow one.
Oh, yeah. Those Landwinds are totally electric.
Completely electric? Oh, I missed that.
They don't really make non-electric versions of those new cars. They're all electric. That might also be the one that can go swimming.
The Landwind. We've talked about the Landwind several times in the Imitation Land Rover segment.
It's no Yang Wang, I'll give you that, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Right, it is no Yang Wang, but
they would not have done that. The Yang Wang straight up, no problem.
The bow.
No, the Yang Wang goes up quick. I'm just saying. And then, it's worth it. It's worth looking into that if you haven't yet experienced the Yang Wang. It's pretty good stuff. So speaking of experiencing new things, Liza and Jenna, you guys were off at the old Southern Meat Expo. They're held in Las Vegas this last week. Of course, you were there with one of the team sponsors, the fine people at Maxis Tires, bringing you Rebel-proof tires for 2 seasons now.
That's right.
What else?
In fact,
what did you guys see?
The only seasons of Rebel that we have not had tire failure, we ran Maxis.
Go.
So Big fan of the
surely
razors.
there's no correlation.
No.
Big fan of the razors. They've been very, very dependable for 2 rebels out of the 4 that we've done.
Ironic Nick cuts with the razor.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Crazy.
There you go. That could be their slogan. Look at this.
So yes, no, we were not at a meat expo. We were at SEMA, which for those who don't know is...
Well, it's kind of a meat expo, let's be honest, but
it is
a bit of a sausage party.
The largest, craziest automotive trade show that exists out there. And for those who don't know. And this was our first time going for both Jenna and I. And it was also my first time walking the entirety of the Las Vegas Convention Center about 10 times.
Wow. So big. It's
I've
so
never
far.
had a reason to do that before. It is enormous. And they just, every hall, every parking lot, every room, every space in that convention center is catered to vehicles. It's wild.
Wow.
And it's not like by hall. The convention hall is not a hall. It is like 7 humongous buildings that are multiple city blocks that stretch like over roads, across roads. Like,
yes.
Like it's not just like a building. It's
What's
like
the
many
area
buildings.
of the Las Vegas Convention Center?
That's a good
We
question.
could Google that. It's crazy big, whatever it is.
It was enormous, and Maxis, our Defender, our NAS 90 was on display in the Maxis booth, and that was over in the silver lot, which was about as far away from the side of the convention center that we entered on as we could be. So Jenna and I walked the entirety of that for 2 days. We were only there for 2 days.
2.5 million
was
square
epic.
feet, if you were curious.
The internet told me it was 3.2 million square feet under the roof.
I think
How
that
many
includes
hectares
the
is that?
meeting rooms.
Oh, yeah. The meat rooms?
The meat rooms, yes.
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
a pretty
wild.
show, and they use all of the parking lots for all sorts of things. They have, drifting and burnouts, and they have, all sorts of
There's motorcycle jumping on.
there's all sorts of crazy demonstrations going on all day long. The Maxis booth was over by Hoonigan, and you could just see, burnout smoke and hear, motors revving at insane volumes all day long.
That sounds super fun.
I mean, it's a wild show. It's pretty incredible. And I think what surprised us most was how much automotive adjacent business there was on display. There was a whole hall dedicated to coatings and paint booths, like spray booths and, automation and stuff for your, shop and
detailing.
stuff like that.
Detailing. Yeah. But then, of course, there's lots of what you would expect, like actual product manufacturers that are very specifically automotive, tires and wheels and suspension components, and a lot of tool companies also. It was interesting. This is not just like a whatever spectacle for the public. This is actually really a professional trade show. So a lot of people are a little more business casual, especially during the early part of the week, because the public is it's not open to the public. It's only open to the trade in these companies. And so there are a lot of workshops and seminars and continuing education programs happening for the various trades, and a lot of business leadership workshops. And so it's interesting. And we had assumed that this was a very, everyone we ever know who goes to this, it's very automotive related, right? But when you Google what SEMA actually stands for, it's not actually specifically cars. It is the Specialty Equipment and Manufacturers Association. So it is not even specifically an automotive trade show. It just happens to overlap a lot with the automotive world.
Interesting. So were there any non-automotive specialty tools there, sausage
there were
stuffers or something, or what?
There were a lot. It was a lot about manufacturing. There were a lot of big CNC kind of outfits, where you could be doing automotive stuff, but you could also be doing other fabrication kind of work. But it was lean.
Yeah, there's a lot of welders and, like you said, machining equipment and tools of various flavors. But I think it definitely is pretty automotive centric. At least that's what you see in the media.
And then there's a lot of cars being built specifically to be showcased and displayed, and they're entered into various judging competitions.
What's the worst one that you saw?
The worst one? Oh my God, I don't know.
Can I say the worst genre? There's a genre. So
I know what you're gonna say.
So there's this I don't know what circle of automotive culture this relates to specifically, but at SEMA there was a lot of these vehicles that were trucks that were insanely jacked up,
Okay.
with
They have these they have
crazy
these
truck underframe chassis, and they're just the most impractical things you've ever seen.
The truck itself, like the running board of the truck is easily 10 to 12 feet off the ground.
Whoa.
And then it goes up from there.
Is this a monster truck?
No, because these are not at all like off-road capable. They are all for show. It's all for show. And this like whole truss suspension is like, beautiful, like pearlescent painted with like pinstriping and all these lights underneath.
Lighting.
Yeah. And then they
have that. Yeah.
It's a show truck, right? So I feel like they're called show trucks.
Maybe. I don't know. They have these huge wheels with really low profile tires, and they have LEDs.
Like half an inch of rubber on
and the
LEDs
like on the backside of the wheels, and the wheels are also like very meticulously painted to match the whole color scheme, and then they're glowing from behind.
So on Friday night,
I don't know. You're really selling this. This sounds great.
Sounds like you hate
Friday night,
art.
when the show's officially done, everybody does like a parade, and cars go to leave. And I saw one actually like drive out and then go cruise the strip. This thing is like 30 feet up in the air. Like,
how do you
can
get
drive over
into
top of most sedans? Like, insane. Absolutely
but you couldn't like drive
insane.
on a sedan because it's not actually capable of doing with damaging it.
And the axles aren't really any higher, right? So there's like a bunch of stuff still down low. Just the cab of the truck is really tall.
It's like if you put a truck cab on a scissor jack, and it just went and it just has all this truss, and it's just like way up in the air with like this junk underneath still happening.
That sounds like a fun build. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you might have something there.
Pearlescent paint scissor jack.
They're wild
scissor lift,
but I'm sorry if you are listening to this podcast and somehow you love Land Rovers and these particular trucks. That's an interesting Venn diagram. But if every time I walked by them, I kept thinking, why?
Well, hey, maybe I can answer that. Maybe I can answer that.
Right.
What would you say is the weighting depth of this particular vehicle?
Oh, there you have it.
Okay, waiting depth. But let's point out that video we watched earlier was going under a bridge. So it should not have gone
But how
under
often are
that
you
bridge.
waiting under a bridge? Let's be honest.
This specific situation, that guy had made the right car for that. But all right, besides big jumbo dump trucks, what else did you guys find that you liked?
Well, it was actually cool. There were quite a few of Rebel cars scattered around the venue.
Cool.
There were
Rebecca's BMW that took second place in the X-Cross this year, first place in bone stock for that division. That was there. Toby, who came in fourth in the 4x4 in a Bronco Raptor. Her vehicle was on display. Ours was there. There were several others. Amanda
were there other
Walden's
Land Rovers?
Raptor was there. Were there other Land Rovers? Not Rebel Land Rovers, and not there was an Osprey Defender in one of the halls.
Okay,
like a NAS Defender that's been all
That's cool.
Boutique.
I saw some pictures of, there was like a couple of crew cab, like 130 type vehicles and just maybe a couple new Defenders.
There were definitely a couple that were there, not a lot. But, ours was on display in the Maxis booth, like kind of right next to their display and everything. And it got a lot of looks. People loved it. People,
cool.
we walked around the show and had a card that we were talking to people, and we would show them the card and they'd be like, yeah, I saw that truck outside. And, they remembered it. And,
nice.
Lots of people complimenting the truck. And, I think the NAS Defender is just always going to be a crowd pleaser.
It really is.
It's a look.
She's a looker. She's a looker. So what about best product that you saw? Something that you're like, oh man, I wish I had that screwdriver that turns at a 90-degree angle and then does whatever. Yeah,
Jenna,
what are your two?
Think? I was thinking, so we went to, help me remember, I think are they called Silas? The organized boxes over.
Cydio
crate. That's what it was. Cydio. And they gave us a couple of these really cool, like dividing boxes that I'm all
they're
about.
They're stackable. They're sweet.
They're really. I mean, it's just an organizing box, but man, do I ever love a good organizing box? And this one is just. It's really premium.
Yeah, I've been drooling over these for years on Instagram.
You guys are dorks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
if you're a
next to
storage
them-
dork, these,
Yeah.
I mean, CDO really is a milk crate. Let's be
But
completely
they're
honest.
so nice.
But it's
so
like,
nice.
it's the highest end milk crate you'll ever see. They are. I have to say, I also really like them. I think they're super cool.
Sidebar.
I have 2 of them in the back of my truck that he gave me. And
So I was in the Mercedes dealership the other day,
Ooh.
and the Mercedes dealer at their parts department tchotchke, case or whatever.
Yeah.
They have a folding milk crate that they sell. A genuine Mercedes folding storage milk crate.
Uh-huh.
for how
$10.
much?
$10?
Yeah, it was shocking.
Deal value.
Yeah.
$10. So you can
Oh.
get one. It has the Mercedes star cast right into the side of the milk crate, and it folds. It flat,
Oh
for
my
storage.
God.
But it also, in its deployed position, fits under the seats in the Sprinter van, which is what's really nice about it. Because I've
wow.
improvised on that, and I just hated all my terrible clear plastic Sterilite tubs that I've tried cramming under those seats.
Yeah.
It's a solution now, which is good.
Yeah, you got to get a couple of those official Mercedes. I would think well, first of all, if that was a BMW one, it would be $72. If it was a Range Rover one, it would be $272.
Yeah, with a
So for
lambskin lined.
Oh, yeah, it would be two-tone paint to match the car, all this sort of stuff. That's, I have to say, I coincidentally was driving by the Mercedes dealer the other day, and the Mercedes dealer here in Santa Clara has just become a Mercedes adventure van dealer. They don't have any cars. It's like they got 4 cars, they've got 10 Geländewagens, and then 200 Sprinter vans. It just seems to be like they've really found a niche in those things. And it's now that Mercedes does the outfit. Have you been in one Mercedes has outfitted, like right from the
haven't,
factory?
no.
I mean, it's got granite countertops. It's got, oh my God, it's very nice. Yeah, it's very nice. So.
Wow. I'm
If
impressed.
you want to live, you leave your New York high-rise apartment and go camping for the weekend, I feel like that's the vehicle you buy. If you're the cast of Succession and you're going camping for the weekend, you're gonna get it direct from Mercedes.
Good to know. If you're a real piece of shit,
Yeah,
this
if you're
is what
just
you
a
buy.
vapid human being, yeah, that's what you're gonna have. Yeah.
Or you just have cash to burn.
Yeah, exactly. So so what else? What other cool tchotchkes were there?
I know you expect us to go to SEMA and talk about all sorts of crazy technology, but the things that got me really excited were these milk crate boxes
they're
from
great.
City.
Those are
And then
cool.
also
Super cool.
just down the way from them was a booth, and it's a company called Onward. They spell it ONWRD.
Okay.
And this is a Rebel thing for sure. They do these really neat seat back Molly panel compartmentalized
A
gear
smock
bags
for your
that you
seat.
could-
It is.
Yeah.
With a
seat
headrest,
smock, yeah.
really cool
containment
designs,
thing,
like a
too.
headrest thing, and
Okay, yeah,
the way that
Onward
they zipper
supply,
and they
yeah.
Velcro and they loop around, and it's
Ooh.
what we built for our rally
Right.
cars for our our own organization inside the car.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it with a bunch of Amazon Molly panels,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I put together a whole bunch of things that didn't belong together, and this is a really nice
Section, yeah.
curated,
This
sexy
is
set
my,
with
my grandma
different
bought one of these off of
fabric
Sky
prints.
Mall, I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say, yeah. And the nice
But
thing
no,
about this
it
is you
was
can get the
definitely
option for
drooling
the beaded seat that goes on the other side, of it, which is nice. So you get
They do
those.
make them in lots of cool fabric patterns. They make a proof one. Also, they're made in Bend, Oregon, which is cool.
Wow,
so
that's
just near
nice.
us. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice little
Oh,
company.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to go
these are nice.
slightly different direction. So one booth that I was really excited about, I had a really positive / optimistic conversation with the guys at US Radiator, which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
they do custom built radiators for
sense.
all applications, automotive, industrial, all sorts of stuff. And I talked to them at length about basically building, our cooling system for the Dakar track. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting. And they were compelled by the project and the story, and very quickly churning wheels hard, trying to brainstorm out, the combination of the structural components and the types of fins and the dimensions and the materials. And they were already getting into those technical details while we were sitting there. And it was really cool. And I think they're going to be a great partner to work with. And I think there's actually some cool possibility there for, if heater cores and stuff for some of our, vintage vehicles too. I think they have really great
we need
custom.
to send them a stock Range Rover radiator and have them replicate it in maybe a heavier duty version.
What about sending them a completely stock Range Rover and having them build a rally car? Is that an option? Would you be open to doing that? Some work in the shop there for us would be great. Would be great. What else? What did you guys get for free? You guys came home with a ton of tchotchkes.
Yeah, everybody
gave us a bunch of really nice women's welding gloves.
Oh, yeah, the welding gloves are
new...
so nice.
Yeah, and they actually fit Steven, so I think
they do. The MIG gloves do. The other ones are a little bit too small, but the MIG gloves do, and they fit super tight because I think they're a tiny bit too small, but they're
women's specific.
They're really nice.
And
Steven has tiny hands.
And I hate the giant, like, oven mitt welding gloves. I usually don't wear gloves a lot, especially when I'm TIG welding, but I do. But I have like nice leather gloves, like thin leather gloves when I'm MIG welding, because I don't like the big MIG welding gloves, but then it's hard to move things around and stuff because it's, those gloves aren't really meant for that. But man, these things are nice. They fit like a glove. They're the Cadillac of automobiles. It's really amazing. Terrible.
But it was very generous of them. So we'll see. Hopefully that conversation goes somewhere positive too. Obviously, we're doing the sponsor hustle. That was like a big part of why we were at SEMA. Obviously, we wanted to go support Maxis and be there with the car and visible at the booth. But also, we were doing some big laps around that whole venue, trying to chat with as many potential sponsors for Dakar as possible. So I think we had a lot of great conversations, and we need to do a ton of follow-up emails and phone calls, and fingers crossed.
And then last thing, while we were there, we were able to do an on-stage live interview with Chasing Horsepower with Mike Cottle of Chasing Horsepower, and so we'll be sure to post those links when that becomes available. But we had a great conversation with him, and largely based around our Rebel Rally experience, and it was just a really good discussion about that. It was great.
Nice. Right on. So generally, what do you think? Are you back at SEMA next year? If the car isn't there, do you go just to check it out? Would you suggest that people who are just enthusiasts go to the Friday open day, or what do you think?
I think if you are not part of the automotive industry and you just want to go as a fan, I think getting a day pass and going, you can only go as a fan on Friday. The one thing to note is that for everybody else, they're working their job, right? And they've been there all week. And I don't know if you've ever had to be in Vegas for more than about 48 hours, but
or just at a trade show
place to be. By the time you get to Friday, you can really feel that these people are ready to get on their plane and go home. They are ready to be done with the week, So, I think as an industry trade show, it's really amazing. Friday, as a fan, it is impossible to see the whole show in one day. So go with a wish list of what it is that you want to see. And just know, like, if you're talking to people and you want them to, sponsor your whatever, they're tired. The people working those booths are tired.
Right. Well, speaking of tired and worn out,
it's time to go everything out of the workshop and move it to a different place in both Oregon and here in California. So it'll be great.
So much fun. The shop rearranging.
I'm sending a truck
right now.
I'm sending a truck with a bunch of stuff, more stuff.
I'm sending a contrary truck with a bunch of stuff.
I'm contracting with City to make truck-sized boxes. We're just going to have over City Oaks that we can stack.
That sounds awesome. I would be done for that. All right. Well, it's been a slice as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take it easy.
Bye. See ya.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Beres, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Beres. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.